I think the public do smell a rat. I think you're finding this throughout the Western world. And because the politicians have been pursuing, they actually have been come from the mainstream political parties pursuing populist policies. That's what they've been doing. Because they're popular, they've been doing these things that I've been talking about. The public see that there are a lot of problems and a lot of unresolved issues. I mean, why are my living standards actually declining? So we don't have a problem with unemployment, but we do have a problem with declining living standards. I mean, that is a huge issue. Why are migrants coming to our country illegally, and why isn't the government doing anything about it? And the answer of politicians, there's a former German foreign minister called Joschka Fischer, who I'm very friendly with. He's a Green. Joschka Fischer was discussing this with me late last year. And I said to him, yes, but what is the German government, the Greens are part of the German government, what is the German government doing about illegal immigration and about the rising cost of energy causing a recession and falling living standards in Germany? And he said, well, these are complex issues and the public don't understand that these are complex issues. And I said to him, well, if your answer to something the public is concerned about is they are complex issues, they'll look for somebody who does have an answer. Telling somebody an issue is complex is not an answer. And I mean, I think this is happening throughout the Western world, that the mainstream politicians are simply not addressing the issues because they think it might be unpopular to do it. And populists, they're called populists, but other political parties, new political parties and political movements are beginning to emerge. So my advice to mainstream politicians is level with the public. Tell the public what you can and can't do. There are some things you can't do. So tell the public about that. There are some things that are difficult to do where there are trade-offs. So let's just say climate change. Australia contributes 1.3% of global emissions. So if we spend another, $20 billion building more renewable energy, offshore wind farms and huge expense on transmission lines and so on, I say to people, well, fair enough, but just tell me, given Australia contributes 1.3% of global emissions, just explain to me, for all that expenditure, what impact that is going to have on the global climate. Just explain that to me. And if you can prove to me that that's going to have a significant impact on the global climate, then I might be prepared to go along with the expenditure. But the answer to that question is obvious. So it's like Snowy Hydro 2.0. I know that was a Liberal or coalition initiative, not a Labor initiative. Well, I think it's just a complete waste of money. With transmission lines included, it's going to cost over $20 billion. Okay, it sounds good, but it's zero emissions or almost zero emissions. Just explain to me what impact that is going to have on the climate. It's totemic. It's symbolic. It's not going to have any practical impact. In the case of the UK, its emissions, CO2 emissions, are now at the same level they were in 1879. 1879, that's how high or low UK emissions are today. And they won't publish the figure of how much they're spending on the sort of green transition, but they are spending tens of hundreds of billions of pounds on the green transition. They contribute just 1% of global CO2 emissions. If you want to address global CO2 emissions, you need to focus on somewhere I was in the last couple of weeks in India. You need to focus on the huge emissions that are coming out of India and China, not be destroying productivity, economic growth, and the capacity to fund entitlements in Western countries, which have already been substantially reducing their emissions. But, the public are kind of onto this. The public, politicians are promising to spend eye-watering amounts of money on green initiatives, which will make no measurable difference to the global climate, according to the scientific models that they like to quote. So, the public are onto this.